Men are different than women, and when it comes to money, investing, and retirement, the differences are even more dramatic. Welcome to Woman's Worth with your host, Jeanette Bajalia. Jeanette is a best-selling author and a radio talk show host. She's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes magazine, and CNBC television. Listen up, it's time for Woman's Worth.
Welcome to Women's Worth Radio. I'm Angelia Savage, and I'm here with your host, Jeanette Bajalia. She's the president and founder of Women's Worth, and she's also a national expert on retirement planning for women. And we are here every week talking about financial health and total well-being for women to make sure that you have a secure and independent retirement. And this is, we were talking earlier, Jeanette, in the studio, we were talking about the issues that are facing men and women as they plan for retirement. So what's causing all this media buzz all of a sudden?
The baby boomers. Every day until 2030, there are 10,000 baby boomers hitting the typical retirement age of 65.
Wow, that's a lot.
That is a lot. And the reality is that most will depend on Social Security as the primary source of income. And so when you look at the net worth, their largest asset is their primary residence. We call that a dormant asset.
Okay.
You have taxes, insurance, and the costs associated with maintaining your home, plus the costs of daily living such as food, healthcare, and other expenses. So for many baby boomers, retirement plan is a form of working until you pass away.
Well, that's not good news, because what if you can't work?
Exactly.
What if you're in that stage where you just can't work? And it's clear there's a retirement crisis completely. So let's focus on how to plan for a more secure retirement, because let's face it, working until you die doesn't need to be a retirement plan.
No,
it's not going to be my plan.
No, it doesn't. It's pretty interesting when you read the research, which suggests that more than a third of Americans report having less than $1,000 stashed away for retirement.
Is that true?
That is true. Those are reports. And only 11% of baby boomers have $200,000 or more saved for retirement. That's what's really alarming.
Whoa, I had no idea. 1/3
Yes.
have less than $1,000
Yes.
stashed away. Oh my gosh, that's shocking. Well, Social Security is, being the primary income for you in retirement, it just is not too comforting.
No, it's
That's
not.
not enough.
It's not. It doesn't need to be. The Social Security system relies on a very large and young workforce to keep the cash flow net positive.
Sure.
And look at these numbers. In 1960, there were 5.1 workers to each one Social Security beneficiary. And in 2009, the numbers were down to 3-1. And in 2030, it's projected to be only 2.2 workers for every one person collecting Social Security. So that doesn't give much security for retirement, does it?
No, not at all. That doesn't give me any security.
Yeah.
I don't have security in Social Security. So, well, I can see why this is really an important topic for us to discuss today. So what do you do to actually plan for a more secure and confident retirement for us?
You've heard me say it over and over, and I'll continue saying it until the day I die. You have to manage the risks of retirement, and you manage them by having an integrated plan that gets you from where you are today to where you want to be until the day you die. So you have a predictable retirement and one that's free of any government intervention.
Oh, I like that. So what do you see as the retirement risks then? Let's talk about the other side.
Well, the first and the greatest fear of most of you listening are outliving your assets. Also, having unexpected and uninsured health care costs, long-term care costs, higher lifestyle expenses due to inflation, the death of a spouse, or now we're seeing with many baby boomers being a victim of financial fraud.
Oh, wow. Individually, those are really huge. But then when you put them all together, it becomes like that perfect storm, if you will.
That's a great way of summing it all up. A perfect storm, and then I'll add a little more sense of urgency. It's a perfect storm on a burning platform.
Oh.
That's how serious it is.
Okay, so what you're saying really validates that report that you sent me a few weeks ago. We were talking about from the Social Security, it was Security of Actuaries, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, the Society of Actuaries.
That was okay. So Society of Actuaries, and they identified through extensive research, really, that the top concerns with regard to post-retirement risks are inflation, healthcare expenses, and paying for long-term care.
Right. And every research project from all the financial institutions, from the insurance companies, and all the information I get from the men and women I serve identified the same risks. So what amazes me, Angelia, is that we consistently hear about these risks, and most of the time they keep us awake at night,
Yes.
worrying about money, about retirement, especially women. Yet we don't do anything about planning to mitigate the risks. Any risk can be managed very well if you have a plan.
I know you speak a lot about planning. You've actually written several books about the importance of integrated life planning, but can you spend maybe a few minutes talking about the difference between financial planning and what you also refer to as integrated life planning?
Sure, and that's a good place to start. And I'll give a recent example to illustrate the difference. But simply stated, financial planning tends to deal primarily with the money and how it's going to be used along the retirement journey, how it's going to be invested. And financial planning has a very narrow orientation in retirement planning. But integrated life planning, which is what we do at Woman's Worth, deals with the impacts of 4 critical disciplines: financial, or better stated, income planning, taxes, healthcare, and legal planning, which is all about protecting your estate with the proper legal documents. So you see, it's more than simply focusing on money management, but on life planning.
And that's a huge difference. So can you give us an example of someone maybe that you've worked with and created a life plan for?
Recently, I had a 68-year-old widowed woman, and I'm going to call her Mary. And she called into our radio program, very fragile from her loss, but very confused about what she needed to do to replace the lost income that went away when her husband passed away. Her problem, in her own words, was, "I'm afraid to spend any money because I'm losing sleep worrying about running out of money." Mary had a legitimate concern because she didn't have a plan. They didn't have one as a couple, and when he passed away, it really took away her security. She had 3 brokerage accounts, but no plan. So we did the analysis and validated her fear. She had lost $3,000 of income between her husband's military pension and her Social Security benefit, and to replace it, the results showed of our analysis that she was going to run out of money at the age of 81. Remember, she's only 68, and most women are going to live well into their 90s.
Mm-hmm.
We reviewed her investments, and we found she was invested as though she was a 45-year-old. She had no diversification, and she was taking more risk than she needed to be taking. And she didn't have a steady stream of monthly income. She was dependent on those brokerage accounts to give her lifestyle.
So what'd you do?
Having this understanding, we worked with Mary and created a 3-bucket plan that took 40% of her money and protected it in a guaranteed income plan. And this is money she'll never outlive. We also were able to protect her for some of the long-term care costs. We properly diversified her investments in a way that created additional cash flow for her on a monthly basis. We addressed her tax issues because most of this money was in IRA, so we needed to do some tax planning. And in just a few years, when she hits 70 and has to take all of those ugly, we call them weapons of mass destruction, but they're really called required minimum distributions. Instead of RMDs, we call them WMDs. And so we updated her legal documents because she had powers of attorney that were not compliant with today's laws. So the bottom line, we took Mary's problem, we solved it with an integrated plan, and now Mary can live her retirement and her widowhood with confidence that she'll not run out of money, and she'll be able to sleep very well at night because we took the worry out of it and replaced it with income security.
In essence, you protected everything for now and the long haul.
And that's what we do at Woman's Worth. We protect you, and we look at where you are today, where you need to be in the future, and we put in solutions customized to your specific needs. And we used to think about living into our 70s and 80s, but now it's almost commonplace to hear about people in their 90s living beyond 100 years old. And if you live this long, do you know with certainty your retirement savings will last? Saving for retirement is one thing. Turning your retirement nest egg into a consistent stream of income is yet another. For the first 10 callers on the show today, get a complimentary, customized retirement income analysis. Discover how to maximize your Social Security income. Proven and very successful strategies to guarantee your income in retirement. How to potentially reduce your taxes so you can keep more of your hard-earned dollars in your pocket. Plus, learn how to position and potentially protect your retirement savings from inflation, from market volatility, and the skyrocketing costs of health care. Typically, you'd expect to pay hundreds, if not thousands, for a customized income analysis for your specific situation. But for the first 10 callers on the show today, it won't. This analysis is ideally suited for people who are recently retired or within 5 years of retiring. And you must have at least $250,000 saved for retirement. Get your complimentary, totally customized retirement income analysis by being one of the first 10 callers right now at 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022, because it never hurts to get a second opinion on your retirement plan.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. And here at Women's Worth, we partner with experts across the nation to bring women the best retirement planning strategies possible. And here's the great news. There is a Women's Worth expert right here in your area. And this is your opportunity to meet with one of those experts so that you can take control of your money and your retirement. So to get your customized and totally free Women's Worth customized income analysis, call 800-366-8022. Again, that's 800-366-8022. And when you come in for your visit, we'll get you a copy of Jeanette's book, Wise Up Women, and your complete financial review as well. So again, the number to call is 800-366-8022. Well, this is a great time for a brief break for us, but you don't want to miss when we come back and continue talking about planning for a more secure retirement.
The team at Women's Worth specializes in working with women and their retirement plans. They can help reduce the risk you're taking with your life savings and assist you with the creation and growth of your wealth. Contact your local Women's Worth expert at 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022.
Welcome back to Women's Worth, the weekly show to help you prepare for retirement. I'm Angelia, and I'm here with your host, Jeanette Bajalia. She's the president and founder of Women's Worth, and she's also a featured expert in Forbes, Fortune, and CNBC. She's the author of the book Wise Up Women and the now released book called Retirement Done Right, which we are so excited about. But today we're focusing on planning for a more secure retirement. So you'll want to stay tuned to the entire show today because you don't want to gamble with one of the most important journeys of your life, your retirement journey, which looks like it could potentially last for 30 to 40 years, which is a good thing.
That's a good news, bad news. It could very well. So get ready, because, you don't want it to be like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, because that only lasted about 3 to 4 minutes.
Although that was fun. But no, you actually don't want retirement to be like that. Well, there's some disturbing reports about dealing with health and long-term care risks in retirement. So let's spend some time talking about that, because I always want to focus on healthcare issues.
Dealing with healthcare costs is a huge concern. While healthcare costs and long-term care costs are similar, the risks are quite a bit different.
Well, how are they different? They're both healthcare related.
Well, kind of, sort of. After age 65, Medicare covers nearly the entire population of retirees for what we call acute healthcare costs. And most of you buy supplemental insurance to pay for the majority of your healthcare costs that are not covered by Medicare. But there's no public coverage for long-term care except for Medicaid, which offers coverage only to those with minimal assets and very, very low income. So very few people are buying long-term care insurance, and only 10% of long-term care provided today is paid for with private long-term care insurance.
Well, then how are most people getting long-term care?
Sadly, informally, through family and friends. While the majority of you will ultimately need some assistance, only a small number need what we call major long-term care support. That's skilled nursing care. But when you do need long-term care support and you rely on your family to provide it, it often comes at a great cost and is devastating.
Yeah, I know you're speaking from experience on that point, because you were actually in that role for quite a while, weren't you?
I definitely was, to my mother and a great aunt. My mother lived to 93, and my aunt to she died 3 months short of her turning 101. And neither one had long-term care because they couldn't afford it. So I became their long-term care plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing you want to put your family through. You don't want to put your family and friends through that.
So common, though. It happens.
Right. It could be financially, emotionally, and physically devastated. But I made a life choice to be the caregiver for my aging family members. And when I made that decision, I never dreamed the depth of commitment that I was making both personally and financially. My aunt only needed total assistance for about 9 months, so that wasn't bad. Anyone can handle anything for 9 months, right?
Sure, it's temporary, but what if it's longer?
And typically it is. As in my mother's case, her long-term care needs lasted over 3 years.
Wow. And how did you handle that? Because that expense, everything really wears on you. Emotionally, it wears on you, but most importantly, expense out of your own pocket.
It is an expense in a number of ways, far beyond financial. And that's a topic I think we should address in another program and dive deep into it, the emotional impacts of caregiving. Financially, I had to hire a caregiver to support me because I did have to work to pay for all of these healthcare expenses. I had to buy medical supplies and equipment that was not covered under Medicare. Had to pay for some construction costs to make a room in my home more handicapped accessible. And when I look at over 3 years, it was over $250,000 out of my personal savings. Thank God I was able to provide that for her because her only other option would have been Medicaid. Now, do you really want the government's long-term care plan?
No, not with the constant cutbacks in Medicare and more cutbacks as we're seeing coming down the road. We're seeing a lot of these cutbacks. It seems like every time I turn around, there's something. And the cutbacks in federal spending, I'm sure Medicaid is on the chopping block next.
You can count on it.
So how do you address the impacts of long-term care costs in your planning then?
Let me give you a creative example of how we did it. There are at least 5 ways to protect for long-term care costs. And the way you should protect yourself is personalized, and it should be based on your goals and how much money you have, whether you're married or single, whether you want to be a burden on your children or not. We address all this when you come in for your customized retirement plan. But recently, I was working with Jim and Martha. He was 70 and she was 66. They had been retired for about 6 years and didn't have long-term care insurance, but had over $1 million saved for retirement. So they didn't think they needed it because they felt like that their savings were going to help them. They didn't need to leave a legacy. Jim had a military pension with a 55% survivor benefit for Martha if he passed away, and they both were drawing on their Social Security. And Julia, the reason they wanted a planning review was because they were worried that if either of them needed long-term care, they would run out of money. They were right. We projected out the long-term care costs, what Jim had available from the VA benefits that he would be eligible for, and we determined that they needed a form of a long-term care protection because if Jim did need long-term care, they needed, on the average, about $90,000 a year for his care in a skilled nursing facility, and we're seeing average of 4 years in a skilled nursing facility. So it would take about $360,000 out of their savings when he passes. And then Martha then loses a portion of the pension. She loses her Social Security income, and the analysis showed that Martha was going to run out of money in her early 80s.
Oh, my goodness. So how did you solve that for them? This is really not a good picture for Martha. It doesn't look like.
First, we protected for lost income using a fixed annuity with an income rider that, check this out, doubles income when Martha needs long-term care. So there's some really good solutions out in the industry to achieve the needs of the baby boomers. Then we position some of their assets into a single premium, what we call hybrid type of long-term care plan. And that's one where Jim would either get long-term care benefits when needed. If not, Martha gets a death benefit. And if they didn't want either at some point in the future, they could get 100% of their money returned to them.
So everybody's protected.
Yes, but we didn't stop there. We added another protective strategy for Martha because we don't know what we don't know. So we got what we call a hybrid life insurance plan for her. We paid for it out of her IRA assets incrementally each year so we could be tax efficient. And that hybrid life insurance policy gave her additional long-term care protection without worrying about premium increases, without worrying whether she can get access to it if she needs long-term care. And if she didn't need long-term care, she has a totally tax-free death benefit that's paid to her children.
Oh, which is the best part, because everyone wants to take care of the kids no matter what.
Especially
so
women. Women have a burden they will always want to leave. When I meet with couples, between the husband and the wife always wants to leave a legacy to the children. The husband says, we've already paid their way through life. So
I love it.
Yeah.
The difference between men and women.
Basically, Jim and Martha don't have to worry anymore because they took the first step to eliminating their fear of financial devastation due to long-term care costs. They have a plan that washed away their fears, and now they can live their retirement journey knowing they have the confidence that if life throws them a curveball, they are prepared because the plan has been put in place.
But again, it comes back to the plan. Like you've said, the plan is what drives the entire life plan. I love it.
Exactly. And we used to think about living only into our 70s and 80s, but now it's almost commonplace to hear about people living in their 90s and even beyond 100 years old. If you live this long, do you know with certainty your retirement savings will last? Saving for retirement is one thing, but turning your retirement nest egg into a consistent stream of income is yet another. For the first 10 callers on the show today, get a complimentary, customized retirement income analysis. Discover how to maximize your Social Security income, proven and successful strategies to guarantee your income in retirement, how to potentially reduce your taxes so you can keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket, plus how to position and potentially protect your retirement savings from inflation, market volatility, and the skyrocketing costs of healthcare. Typically, you'd pay hundreds, if not thousands, for a customized income analysis for your specific situation. Typically, it costs anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 or $5,000, but for the first 10 callers on the show today, it won't. This analysis is ideally suited for people who are recently retired or within 5 years of retiring, and you must have at least $250,000 saved for retirement. Get your complimentary, totally customized retirement income analysis by being one of the first 10 callers right now at 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022. Never hurts to get a second opinion on your retirement plan.
And here at Women's Worth, we partner with experts across the nation to bring women the best retirement planning strategies possible. And here's the great news. There's a Women's Worth expert right here in your area. So this is your opportunity to meet with one of those experts so that you can take control of your money and your retirement. To get your customized Women's Worth retirement income analysis, call 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022. And when you come in for your visit, we'll get you a copy of Jeanette's book, Wise Up Women, and your customized retirement income analysis. Again, the number to call is 800-366-8022. We've got to take a short break now, but you don't want to miss the rest of today's show as we continue discussing how to plan for a more secure retirement. So don't forget to give us a call at 800-366-8022 while we're on break. That's 800-366-8022. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Women's Worth, the weekly show to help you prepare for retirement. I'm Angelia, and I'm here with your host, Jeanette Bajalia. She's the president and founder of Women's Worth, and she's also a featured expert in Forbes, Fortune, and CNBC. She's the author of the book Wise Up Women and the newly released book called Retirement Done Right, which is what we all want. We want to do retirement right. So today we're talking about how to prepare for a secure retirement. And as we face our retirement risks that many of you are probably worrying about, like outliving your assets or unexpected healthcare costs, long-term care costs is one thing I worry about probably the most. And now let's talk about one of the top risks that we can experience, death of a spouse.
I know, and that's nothing we ever want to talk about. But for couples, it's one of the largest risks. It's a huge risk. I find it fascinating that retirement planning is often focused on the regular monthly bills and not on irregular expenses that could be expected, like a new roof or home maintenance. So basically, you're poorly prepared for the unexpected, and then add the ultimate unexpected, which should be expected, and that's lost income when you're wife or your husband passes on.
Absolutely. It's not something we want to plan for because it is unexpected. We don't want to add in those unexpected. We know what our regular bills are on a monthly basis, but those unexpected life suddenlies can really throw a curveball, and we need to be prepared for those things. So how do you get your clients to talk about lost income that comes with the death of a spouse?
Angela, one of the deliverables in our retirement income analysis is what we call a cost of retirement report. And that's we call it our red zone report. It gives us facts on what day you might wake up and have run out of money. We create what we call what if scenarios that show you what happens when you lose a source of income. And that's how we get couples to talk about it. It's one of the most insightful deliverables. And through a presentation of facts, typically, most people are open to discussions, especially if coupled with lost income, there's still some debt, like a mortgage of a dream retirement home or some car loans. When your spouse passes on, you have debt to maintain, not just lost income. So what we do is we project out how much income needs to be replaced. For instance, one of our clients, and I'm going to call them Steve and Lorraine, he was 66 and she was 59. They wanted a retirement plan, and they thought they were just fine because Steve had a really great pension, which very few people retire have, but it didn't have any survivor benefits, which means when he goes away, that really nice pension goes away for her. And they both had Social Security. They really didn't need to supplement their income from their savings, which is why they thought everything was great, except they never considered lost income in their plan. And it was an intuitive plan. It wasn't a fact-based, written-down plan. We created 3 scenarios with him passing away at 75, which is worst case. And then we created a most likely possible 82, which is when the average age of men passing away. And then we looked at 95 as the best case. And we discovered that in the most likely scenarios, with the lost pension income and a lost Social Security income, when he passes away at 82, remember now Lorraine will only be 75, and she would have a life expectancy most likely at least around early
90.
to mid-90s. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yep.
But the analysis showed she was going to run out of money at the age of 83. Now, Steve and Lorraine didn't think they had a retirement income problem, only to learn through our planning they did.
Wow. So how did you solve their problem of running out of money, or maybe her problem of running out of money ultimately, so she didn't become a bag lady at 83 and try to live on Social Security for the remaining years?
You're right. And this is where bucket planning for income protection comes in. So we created 4 buckets of income protection. They had all of their money at risk in the market. So we took 60% of their retirement nest egg and we created what we call a structured income payout system. And 2 of the buckets were protected to replace for the lost income. So Steve and Lorraine never have to worry about income replacement, regardless of when God decides to call either one of them home. Or maybe even she goes first, but we still have him protected because he's still going to lose a Social Security check.
Sure, absolutely.
Income replacement is the most important component of your retirement plan, and you need to make sure your plan has strategies that are guaranteed to solve income needs when life throws you curveballs. Don't leave your retirement success or the financial security of your family at risk because you didn't take time to think about those life suddenlies.
Yeah, and aside from the guarantee of taxes until you die, the only other guarantee is death, and you need to be prepared if it comes unexpected.
And unexpected it usually is. I recall one of the youngest widows I served in my office about 6 years ago. She came to me. She lost her husband and 2 children in a tragic car accident, so she became a widow at the age of 28.
Oh, my goodness. How do you plan for that?
So it happens unexpectedly.
So if you're 28 years old and you actually lose a spouse and you have children, how do you prepare for that?
With finding yourself someone that can guide you, because understand it's one thing to lose a spouse when you're 28, when you're 70 or 75 or 80, where you kind of have had many years of life together and savings.
Yeah.
But in her situation at 28, she was left with one son. Now she had to figure out how to get her son through high school, through college, and herself. I mean, she was immobilized. Emotionally, it took such an amazing emotional impact on her that she couldn't work. So she had to step out of the workforce to figure out how to help her son transition into his life without a father. And she then became the father and the mother and trying to pick up the pieces. Not only was it emotionally devastating, but it was financially devastating. Good for her. He had a substantial life insurance policy that we could take, but her income planning became quite a bit different. We created a 6-bucket strategy for her because she was so young. And we created a bucket strategy for college education for her son. And so we had to do some very creative things. And it was not until she realized she would be financially okay if she could stay out of the workforce a number of years. And the plan gave her the permission to go and start rebuilding her life. That's what planning gives you the opportunity to do, to rebuild your life when you have one of those life suddenlies. Life happens unexpectedly for many families, such as Steve and Lorraine's situation. And if this resonates with you, or this young widow, if her situation resonates with you and you're not totally comfortable, you have a plan that provides optimal protection for you now and going into your retirement and through your retirement, it's time for some action. We used to think about living into our 70s and 80s, but now it's almost commonplace to hear individuals living into their 90s and even beyond 100 years old. If you live this long, do you know with certainty your retirement savings will last? Saving for retirement is one thing, but turning your retirement nest egg into a consistent stream of income is yet another. For the first 10 callers on the show today, get a complimentary and totally customized retirement income analysis. You'll discover how to maximize your Social Security income, proven and successful strategies to guarantee your income in retirement, how to potentially reduce your taxes so you can keep more of your hard-earned dollars in your pocket, plus how to position and potentially protect your retirement savings from inflation, market volatility, and the skyrocketing costs of healthcare. Typically, you'd expect to pay hundreds, if not thousands, for a customized income analysis for your specific situation. But for the first 10 callers on the show today, it won't cost you a dime. This analysis is ideally suited for people who are recently retired or within 5 years of retiring. And you must have at least $250,000 saved for retirement. Get your complimentary, totally customized retirement income analysis by being one of the first 10 callers on the show today at 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022, because it never hurts to get a second opinion on your retirement plan.
And here at Women's Worth, we partner with experts across the nation to bring women the best retirement planning strategies possible. And here's the great news. There's a Women's Worth expert right here in your area. And this is your opportunity to meet with one of those experts so that you can take control of your money and your retirement. So to get your customized Women's Worth retirement income analysis, call 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022. And when you come in for your visit, we'll get you a copy of Jeanette's book, Wise Up Women, and your customized retirement income analysis. Again, the number to call is 800-366-8022. When we come back, we're going to be wrapping up our discussion of planning for a more secure retirement. So don't forget to give us a call on 800-366-8022 while we're on break. Again, that's 800-366-8022. And we'll be right back.
For women, retiring isn't about achieving some magical number. It's about safely making your money work for you to generate income in retirement and ensure that it will last for the rest of your life. Discover how by staying right here, listening to Woman's Worth with Jeanette Bajalia.
Welcome back to Women's Worth, the weekly show to help you prepare for a successful and dignified retirement. I'm Angelia, and I'm here with your host, Jeanette Bajalia. She's the president and founder of Women's Worth, and she's also a featured expert on Forbes' Fortune and CNBC. She's the author of the book Wise Up Women and the newly released book called Retirement Done Right, which is what we all want to do, is do retirement right.
You only have one chance to do it right.
True. So true. So if you want to get a copy of this amazing book or a copy of Jeanette's first book, give us a call on 800-366-8022. Again, that's 800-366-8022, and we'll let you know how to get a copy of that. All right. Well, you know what? Earlier in the show, we've been talking about the risks that you typically don't think about in retirement and how important it is to actually plan for a more secure retirement. So since we have a few more minutes on the show today, let's address some suggestions that you might have for us to take on some immediate action. We've got to take some immediate action on this. And we all are very close to a retirement age, and we want to know how to successfully do it. So what areas of action should you be taking if you're already retired or planning to retire in the near future?
Okay, here's a blueprint for retirement success. You ready?
I am so listening.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. The first thing is to understand that you need a plan. It's the importance of a plan. The research shows that people make big decisions, like the decision to retire, without working out the numbers first. And those that do have what they consider to be a plan focus on their ability to pay their regular bills in the short term. But these plans don't consider the longer-term non-recurring expenses and the retirement risks. So the first piece of advice, work out the numbers that include everything before you retire.
And that's why the focus is on your retirement income planning process, where you deal with all of the things, the numbers that needed to be that you associate with.
Exactly, because it's all-inclusive expenses and adjusted for inflation. So the second piece of advice is remember that expenses need to include non-recurring items and regular monthly bills. Non-recurring items are home repairs, dental expenses, car purchases. How many times are you going to purchase a car? Or how many times are you going to repair your car? Unpaid health care costs like deductibles, co-pays. It's important to really take all these into consideration.
You know what I just thought of when you were saying that? I thought of a great analogy. I was thinking lots of my friends have been going on cruises lately, it seems like. And I thought, that's what this feels like. It feels like an all-inclusive cruise where you just don't think about anything at all. You just have a great time. You enjoy your holiday, and you don't have to think about any of that. So I feel like it's an all-inclusive retirement plan.
That's what you need.
No worries.
But you also need contingency planning, because even when you go on a cruise, they try to sell you all this there's other expenses on that cruise, even though it's all inclusive, and retirement is much the same way. So that's a great analogy. Let me offer another piece of advice.
Okay.
And basically, it's when we talk about planning for the unexpected, one of the areas is long-term care costs. How are you going to fund long-term care costs if you need them? How will you replace lost income? How will you plan for inflation? Or as importantly, how will you compensate for increases in taxes when you begin using all those what I call tax-infested accounts, your IRAs? Or what happens when the stock market takes a huge dive? Like we've been seeing since the beginning of the year, we've been seeing that.
Yep.
And you're in retirement, and you're thinking that you want to live off of your stock market, your portfolio appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a lot rolled into a third piece of advice, but the good news is that the unexpected can be handled if you actually plan for the unexpected. And if the unexpected doesn't happen, then all the better. You have more money to spend in retirement and to play golf or do, whatever you want to do.
That's the purpose of it. It's to always have enough assets to do the things that you love. But there's something else I need to add before we wrap up, and that's what we're seeing, an amazing growth, and that's fraudulent investment schemes or financial scams. There are so many of them out there, and I recently talked to a prospective client who came to one of our educational programs about 4 years ago, and he had invested $250,000 of his hard-earned money into a private venture with a company that it was trying to activate dormant oil wells. There are these oil wells in Texas that basically the oil companies decided they didn't want, so they shut them down. So these private venture capitalists decide, I guess they know more than the oil companies. And so they said, oh, the oil companies just didn't mine deep enough, so we're just going to go below at this level. And they had all their engineering analysis and everything. So our client at the time put $250,000 in them, and with the promise that by the time they pumped the amount of oil, he would get about $5,000 monthly in income for his ownership of these oil wells, and so he would have a supplement to his Social Security. Doesn't that sound great?
Sounds fabulous in the perfect world, but sometimes that doesn't always work out.
Yeah, it's a good supplement for retirement. Well, he thought it was a good plan, but 4 years later, not one penny, and let's face it now.
$250,000 down the drain.
Yeah, and let's face it. What's the cost of a barrel of oil today? It's less than, it hit below $30 a barrel. He lost $250,000 of his retirement assets. And this is only one example. So financial scams are rampant and targeting where all the wealth is. And that's in the hands of the baby boomers. So be aware and hold on to your money.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, this is great advice. And before we wrap up, is there any other words of wisdom that you can actually share with us today?
Let me quickly throw in one more piece of advice.
Okay.
You need to recognize that things change over time. While inflation has been relatively low over the last few years, it's clear that you need to build in inflation into your plans as one type of change. But there's another type of change that we really need to address.
What's that?
And that's our capabilities. Physical and mental capabilities may very well change over time.
Don't tell me that. I feel like it's already changing now.
Sorry. Well, just wait. I've got about 20 years on you, so just wait.
Oh, perfect. Can't wait.
Also, our interests change. We may want to travel a lot for a while and then not much later on. Or the needs of our children change.
Yes,
and they
absolutely.
have an unfortunate need that we need to help them with. So your plan needs to be designed so that you can adapt to the changes. Your plan is not a dormant document collecting dust. It's a living, breathing component of your life. That's why we call it life planning. And it needs to be validated each and every year, or even more often if life throws you one of those unexpected suddenlies.
Absolutely. Those suddenlies happen and we're never prepared for them. And we need that plan in place to prepare us for the future.
Yes, because we used to think about living only into our 70s or 80s.
Sure.
But now it's almost commonplace to hear about people living into their 90s and even beyond 90.
I'm planning to 100.
Right. I'm planning beyond 100.
You better plan beyond 100.
If you live this long, do you know with certainty your retirement savings will last? Saving for retirement is one thing, but turning your retirement nest egg into a consistent income stream that's guaranteed is yet another. For the first 10 callers on the show today, get a complimentary, customized retirement income analysis. You'll discover how to maximize your Social Security income, proven and successful strategies to guarantee your income in retirement, how to potentially reduce your taxes so you can keep more of your hard-earned dollars in your pocket, plus how to position and potentially protect your retirement savings from inflation, from market volatility, and from the skyrocketing costs of health care. Typically, you'd expect to pay hundreds, if not thousands, for a customized income analysis for your specific situation. Usually, it costs anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for this type of analysis, but for the first 10 callers on the show today, it won't cost you a dime. This analysis is ideally suited for people who are recently retired or within 5 years of retiring, and you must have at least $250,000 saved for retirement. Get your complimentary, totally customized retirement income analysis by being one of the first 10 callers on the show today, and give us a call at 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022. 8022 because it never hurts to get a second opinion on your retirement plan.
And here at Women's Worth, we partner with experts across the nation to bring women the best retirement planning strategies possible. And here's the great news. There is a Women's Worth expert right here in your area. And this is your opportunity to meet with one of those experts of retirement income planning for women so that you can take control of your money and your retirement. So give us a call on 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022. And we'll get you on the calendar for this complimentary and totally customized to you retirement income analysis. And when you come in for your visit, we'll get you a copy of Jeanette's book, Wise Up Women, where she shares more of her wisdom on retirement planning for women. Again, the number to call is 800-366-8022. So call it now. That's 800-366-8022. Well, this has been another great show of Women's Worth with a lot of valuable information for women by women. And I know that you have learned how to better prepare for a secure and independent retirement. But before we end the program today, write down this number and give us a call on 800-366-8022. That's 800-366-8022 to take advantage of this amazing offer so you can have an independent and financially secure retirement, because it's more than the money. It's about your total well-being. So for all of us here at Women's Worth, have a great week.
Money management is provided by Payne Capital Management, LLC. PCM is an SEC-registered advisor located in New York, New York. Information provided on today's show is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with an investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they're taken.